I don't think that anyone voluntarily gives up their advantage without a case being made for how that turns out to be an investment for them. But I think that case can be made. I think that there are untapped resources in our region because we haven't thought of everyone as contributing to our region. We've thought about people as problems rather than as meaningful, viable, useful contributors to our society. And when you make investments that treat people as valuable contributors, but you also have just a basic moral and ethical sense that we ought to take care of one another, you unleash all kinds of potential that you otherwise wouldn't see if you've only said that Clayton or Chesterfield or Creve Coeur has people worth investing in, but Kinloch and Spanish Lake and Jeff Vanderloo don't. You're foreclosing people's futures, and you're holding back the region. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, is it a mistake to think it's kind of a zero-sum thing too? Like if I invest or if I, look out for my neighbor, that doesn't necessarily mean I get less or I have to suffer, so to speak.
Yeah, the zero-sum idea is exactly the wrong idea. There's an opportunity to have both economic growth and equity, and the two can and do work together. You think about just a simple example, there are a lot of people that can't be recruited to St. Louis who are very talented because of our legacy and our current problems with race. They're afraid to come to St. Louis, and they're not completely unjustified in that. People come to St. Louis and get smacked in the face with the level of segregation that we have, get smacked in the face with things like the Del Mar divide, and don't want to be here. So you can't grow a region where the workforce is going to be increasingly diverse with that kind of profile. And that's just one aspect of this. I mean, we should be doing this because it's the right thing to do, but it also makes good economic sense. I guess the only other thing is, we talk a lot about numbers and zip codes. It's a colleague of mine at the Brown School, his name is Daryl Hudson, who always says that behind those numbers are people. I think it's important for folks to keep that in mind. These are people who haven't been able to attend funerals, haven't been able to be there with their loved ones as they're passing away, haven't been able to do the most basic thing, which is protect themselves and their families. And that is so critical for people to understand. I think it's one of the ways in which we do break down the barriers between groups is to have a sense of our shared humanity, and to really try and empathize with what that looks like and what that feels like. That may be the opportunity that we have.
Because we have not invested for so long, and that's the polite way of putting it, we have at least a third or so of our community that is more exposed. And that's where the need needs to go first. Like you said, it's the right thing and then also the economic thing. But just tell me again what do you hope the priority is as we recover, as we continue to deal with this? And I'm thinking specifically of the money that we're getting.
Right. The priority needs to be the most vulnerable populations. They need to be front and center. They can't be the afterthought. And that has to we have to focus all of our resources and all of our attention and all of our energy on making sure that the most vulnerable have their needs met. And that is not just the moral and ethical thing to do. It is planting the seeds for the kind of recovery that we want, which is an equitable recovery. We want a recovery in which everyone can contribute. And that has not been the way that we've done business in St. Louis. It's not been the way we've done business in cities across the country, but that's the opportunity we have before us.
I know what I was thinking of. You said earlier that it's not guaranteed that we'll take advantage of this opportunity. I'm thinking of, 2014, there was a lot of focus on some of these issues. And I think a lot of people would argue we've put a lot of energy into trying to go back to the way things were in the last 6 years. I'm sure there are some bright spots here and there, but I think, especially from the perspective of the kind of the majority culture, we've kind of just said like, all right, well, we dealt with that and kind of tried to move on. So there is no guarantee that we'll take this opportunity.
There's absolutely no guarantee. And in fact, in psychology, we say that the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. But there is an opportunity to behave differently. My worry is that people will believe that this problem of the virus is only affecting those people over there, and therefore I don't need to worry about it. And I don't need to worry about what created the conditions that caused this disproportionate burden among lower income and African-American communities. And that can't be the lesson that we learn from this.
Again, I'm sorry to repeat, but again, there's we all probably wish we lived in a world where the moral imperative that was motivation enough, but that this virus is exposing or highlighting how we are connected, that if we don't take care of each other, it's going to come back to us. At least in this instance, potentially being infected and being sick, if not worse.
Yes. There is a connection. There's a sense in which we are connected to each other, even though we know that certain people are carrying more of the burden of this disease right now. And we have to be cognizant of the fact that the people who are putting themselves at risk are disproportionately people of color who are serving in roles that support the rest of this community, whether that's grocery stores or home health care or nursing homes or some of these other service jobs that we've just now realized were essential. Those people are placing themselves at risk. They don't have the luxury of staying at home and ordering from Instacart. So we owe them something, and we owe those communities something. I don't know how to say it more simply than that.